What's going on, guys? It is XP here with another video for you. This one is a good one. I did a mod on my Thrustmaster TCA Boeing throttle recently, and I found it so good to be able to upgrade that Boeing TCA. And so today we got another mod for you to upgrade the Thrustmaster Airbus TCA. There are two mods here, not just one, two mods. And the first mod is fairly simple to do. A third grader could do it, honestly, with a Phillips screwdriver. The second mod is a little bit more complicated for you to do, but trust me, when it's done, it's going to be worth it. So stick around as we go through the different mods and how it's done and what it does for you. All right, so there's a company called SL3 Simulations that they saw me do the mod for my Boeing TCA, and the guy named Santi reached out to me and go, hey, I got a mod for your Airbus TCA. As a matter of fact, I spoke about it because I saw it on YouTube. He reached out to me and go, hey man, I got the mod for you. And at first I said I was not going to get it because it's made in the Philippines. The shipping is incredibly expensive compared to the cost of the mod. The cost of the mod is really inexpensive, but the shipping is expensive. So he said to me, hey, you know what? I'll send you the mod for free, just paid for shipping. I go, yes, sir, please. I want that. But anyway, we have it. This mod improves your immersion if you have the Thrustmaster Airbus TCA throttle quadrant, and it's two mods in one, as I said before. First mod is a Throttle Detent Mod. So as you know, the Airbus have a few detents. It's got a reverse idle, climb, flex, and toga detent. And what this does is two things. It makes those detents stronger. It's not as light as it used to be. It's a stronger detent. And two, it also gives you a longer throw from the idle to the climb detent. It's got a much longer throw from the idle detent to the climb detent, which is more representative of what the real airplane is all about. And you have to try to believe it, but basically you could grab it. It's in the detent right now, and actually I'm going to require to hold on to this properly so I can move it into that first detent. There we go. So that is the throw now. The throw is really a long throw before you get to the idle detent. That makes taxiing easier in the sim. It also makes grabbing the controls, disconnecting the auto throttle in the Airbus, and actually manipulating the throttles to land, something that I have to practice. Second thing, as I said, the detent is solid, so it requires more force to get into it. That is the climb detent. That's a toga detent. There we go. And so it requires way more force to go in and out of the detents here, and you can adjust that as you like. Also, idle has another detent that was not there before. So you're at regular idle, you have a reverse idle, then you have a full reverse, and back to reverse idle. So you're getting a reverse idle that was not there before. Now you have a reverse idle on this thing, and then you can go back to normal idle right there. Trust me, it's way stiffer, but still smooth than what it used to be before. And as you could tell from the internals of this thing, you'll see exactly how it works. The mod is very simple to do. All you have to do is open up the three screws on the side of the throttle itself and put in a plate that has the detents in the plate itself. One's labeled right, one's labeled left, and then you also have to put in on the throttle itself the things that's going to actually keep the stiffness of it or looseness of it. You can adjust on your own, so you still retain the full functionality off the throttle without any significant kind of mod. You can undo this easily. That is the first mod, and it changes the detents of this to be more realistic, so to speak. Now, the second mod, that is a great mod to do, but that particular mod also requires a little bit of skill and a little bit of knowledge, and that one took me a little longer to do. Now, if it's not for the faint of heart, I'll tell you that right now. That second mod is going to require a little bit of skill, a little bit of know-how, a little bit of soldering ability. You have to have a soldering iron to do one, but trust one. If you can solder, if you see my solders on this thing is absolutely atrocious, but I made it work. It's a spoiler arm mod. So basically, you're like, what's a spoiler arm mod? Well, from Thrustmaster, you got the spoiler lever. There it is. There's your spoiler. Here's your detents for your spoiler. And you have those. And it works. However, what you're gaining that Thrustmaster did not put on it is the ability to go ahead and arm your spoiler. There it is, right there. You can pull up on the detent, arm, disarm your spoiler. Now you're like, wow, that's it? Yes. It's very nice to be able to have that on the throttle quadrant itself. It's very, very cool. So all you got to do is pull up on it and push down on it. So you pull up on it, then push down. So once you have the spoiler out and you're good to go, you're coming in for landing, you go back and retract your spoilers, you pull up, that arms your spoiler. Very, very, very cool. Love that. Arm, disarm spoiler. Now, this one, it's a little, as I said before, a little bit harder to do. A couple things you got to do. You got to separate it from the rest of the quadrant with 2 screws. If you have to put this together, you have to also disconnect the cable that's on the bottom that goes between, easily to do. Then once you've done that, there are 6 screws that you're going to have to undo to take the bottom off. That allows you to open up this case and start to apply the mod. The mod is very simple technically to apply. It comes with a bracket that's going to house a switch, and so this thing is going to be switched for you. You could turn a switch on and off, and once you get the bracket mounted, it mounts right into the quadrant itself. Very simple to do. And then the second part is the switch has 2 wires. You're going to find the appropriate switch to connect that, the appropriate soldering points to connect that to. Now, in Santi's original video, he replaced the gear up, gear down switch for his mod. I wanted to retain the use of my gear up, gear down switch. I did not want to get rid of it because I use it. He made a separate one for himself. But what I did was I used a switch that I did not use before. This particular switch is to arm and disarm the auto brake. I've never ever used this switch ever. It's never been used, so I appropriated 2 of the connector points on the circuit board to make that work. So I took 2 points here, and I'll show you in the video. You will see the 2 points that I used to make it work. So I've connected the switch for arming and disarming the spoiler. I've connected the switch that's connected to this to tie into here, solder it, all wired up properly, and now it's working. You can get it now working in the sim. That is going to be the hardest part for you. You're going to be pulling this apart. You're also going to be adding a switch to it, and you're going to be soldering onto the circuit board to get the switch to be a part of the entire thing. I have no wires connecting them together other than what Thrustmaster give us here. Also, in the detent itself, you can use this as normal. However, you are not able to pull up on the speed brakes when you are not in the appropriate section. So if the speed brakes are extended all the way out, you can't pull up. The only time you can arm that is if it's in the stowed detent. You're allowed to pull it up there, and that is achieved by 2 brackets that are glued to the underside of the track here. So there's 2 brackets here that has a specific cutout that allows it to work that way, where you can arm it, but once you're out of the detent, you can't pull it up to arm it at all. Very, very, very smart. So the only time you can arm this, you can't inadvertently arm it when the speed brakes is extended, is if you're back at the fully stowed position, and then you can arm it. But you'll see, as you see from the video, it is a little bit more technical know-how to get this done. But this adds to the immersion of the Thrustmaster Airbus quadrant. It just makes it so much more useful. You have the ultimate detent mod here that updates the detent for it to be stiffer. That's the word I like to use. And also you're gaining idle detent that was never there before, and you're also gaining a longer throw between idle and the climb mode, so you can do manual operations of the Airbus to match the sim. And that's what it does. And you get the speed brakes where you can arm and disarm the speed brakes. Works perfectly every single time. And the only thing you're losing is some functionality on this disarm button that I never use because I just pressed it on virtual cockpit. Now, I have gone ahead and set this up for the Airbus in X-Plane, which is a toeless Airbus. It works. And I've also gone ahead and set it up for the Phoenix and the fly-by-wire in Microsoft Flight Sim. So the most popular Airbuses work with TOLUS in X-Plane, the Phoenix, and the fly-by-wire in Microsoft Flight Sim. For the TOLUS and for the fly-by-wire, it works perfectly. Nothing required. Pull up, arms, pull down, it goes in and stows itself. For the Phoenix, I'm having a little bit difficulty as far as exactly making it work the way the rest of the airplanes work. It will arm if you pull it up. There might be another way to do this. I haven't figured it out yet, but we'll get to it. Just like with some of the autopilot panels, it's hard to interface with the Phoenix because you're using a different system than the regular Microsoft to do that. But that's the only minor quibble I've found with this mod. But it works with the TOLUS, it works with the fly-by-wire, or any default A320 in Microsoft Flight Sim. So there you have it, guys. That is the mod for the Thrustmaster TCA Airbus Quadrant, so you don't have to feel jealous for those guys who are running with the Honeycomb Bravo, because they have all this stuff, you know. But shout out to Santi. He's got 2 detailed YouTube videos on how to do both mods, explaining to you exactly what goes where and how it's done and why he did what he did. We'll link all 3. We'll link his website, and we'll link the 2 tutorials on how to get this done from his videos here in the link. But thanks again, guys. Thanks for joining XP in this one. I'll see you guys again on another video. Take care. Peace. See ya. Later.